I decided to begin the discussions I will have with you on this topic by giving you some first-hand survivor and thriver thoughts on many of the myths about eating disorders. You have to be underweight to have an eating disorder. Okay, no, wrong. When someone is at a normal weight, their eating disorder can be even more dangerous. It's hidden or masked. No one can see the pain, and it can feel like you're fighting it totally alone, even though it's really desperately hurting you. It is not about what you see on the outside. It's what's happening inside that matters. It's been a very long and difficult journey, not just for me, but for my family and friends as well. And one I will feel forever deeply sorry they had to endure with me. Eating disorders don't just impact the person going through them, they affect everyone around them. Recovery is so worth fighting for. On the other side, you emerge stronger, braver, and more in tune with yourself. Watching and feeling your sparkle come back is magical for you, but also for your loved ones. Are you ready to embrace the best version of yourself? I'm Jen Helliwell, design and fashion creator, and I am on a mission to inspire, motivate, and uplift women to be just that through my platform and podcast, This Girl Can Talk. This episode focuses on eating disorders, and especially my personal experiences with anorexia nervosa. While I am all about focusing upon upward, forward thinking and positivity within what I share, I do want to warn you that this topic can, of course, be disturbing or triggering. If it's too much, please feel free to skip this one out, or at the very least, reach out for the support from a licensed professional. Seeking the correct support is key to taking care of yourself, and that is of paramount importance to me. Thank you for your understanding. The topic of eating disorders is deep and complex, and I haven't quite been sure how to start with it, or what would be the most useful to share and not share to remain in line with the positive, forward-thinking tone of my pod and who I am. It is, however, a topic I feel is necessary, and I feel really ready to dive into, as it's my own lived experience. Everyone's journey is unique, but my goal is always to share from a place of love, hope, and growth. As always, I'd love to hear your feedback on what's been helpful from what you're about to hear from me. Remember, I can only give you what you ask for, so thank you in advance for your constructive and kind feedback. Please do subscribe, follow, rate, review, and share so I can keep growing this platform to bring you and so many others the help I need and we all need to rise up better, braver, stronger, and happier together. Now let's get into it. I decided to begin the discussions I will have with you on this topic by giving you some first-hand survivor and thriver thoughts on many of the myths about eating disorders. And there is so much misunderstanding in general about them. So I figured I would begin by debunking a few that have been super unhelpful for me over the years. Let's raise awareness and clear up the stigmas. Time to debunk some myths. Myth number 1. Eating disorders only affect women, or eating disorders are just a silly little girl issue. Eating disorders can affect anyone. Women, men, girls, boys, she's, he's, they's. I am really happy that this is changing now. It's okay to struggle. It's brave and empowering to speak out, no matter who you are or what you're going through. From my experience, when you do speak out, when you become part of, or you do become part of, a very supportive, nurturing community. Myth number 2. eating disorders are a choice or just about vanity? Let's debunk this one right now. Eating disorders aren't about wanting to look a certain way. They're real, complex mental health conditions. Trust me, I've been there, and I know many others who have been or are still there. They stem from much deeper issues like trauma, anxiety, shame, or the need to control something in a world that feels so desperately out of control. Nobody chooses to develop these disorders. For many, eating disorders are about trying to control something, managing emotional pain, or coping with mental health challenges like anxiety or depression. It's not just about looks. It's far, far more complicated relationships with food, eating, exercise, and many other emotions. Understanding this brought me so much clarity, and only through education, acknowledgement, and self-work can we help each other rise and pass on the healing gifts we gain from recovery. And remember, no matter where you or your loved one is on this journey, you are worthy of healing, love, and acceptance. The road may be long and challenging, but every single step you take towards understanding yourself and seeking help is a victory. You're not defined by your struggles, but your resilience and strength. There is always, always, always light at the end of the tunnel, and you are more than capable of reaching it. Just keep fighting, keep growing, and never, ever, ever forget that your story matters. You're never alone, whatever you're going through. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So let's rise together. Myth number 3. You have to be underweight to have an eating disorder. Okay, no, wrong, incorrect. Anorexia does often lead to becoming severely underweight. That's true, it does. But other disorders like bulimia, binge eating, orthorexia, there's bigorexia, many other disorders may not involve weight gain or weight loss. In fact, when someone is at a normal weight, their eating disorder can be even more dangerous. This is when it's hidden or masked. No one can see the pain, and it can feel like you're fighting it totally alone, even though it's really desperately hurting you. It is not about what you see on the outside. It's what's happening inside that matters. I can deeply relate to this from my second inpatient stay in Arizona, where the recovery process was divided into 3 phases. The first phase was intake, when I was in a very fragile state, and you had to achieve a certain level of well-being to progress to the next second phase. Just as I was about to move to that second stage forward, a new patient had been recently admitted, and she pointed at me in the dining room and announced very loudly, "I'm not staying here. I don't want to look like that British girl by the time I leave." That moment was crushing and a painful, painful reminder to me that despite what others saw, I was still struggling desperately inside with my disorder. So it's a reminder to please, please be mindful and kind when interacting with anyone recovering from an eating disorder. It might seem harmless, but comments like, "You look so healthy now," can be jarring and feel like a setback to those suffering, especially in the early stages of recovery. For someone fighting this battle, every part of their journey feels intense, and even very well-meaning comments can unintentionally trigger feelings of vulnerability. The very best approach is to avoid commenting on someone's appearance. best thing to do is focus instead on their strength and progress and the courage it takes to keep moving forward. Always, always remember that recovery is a personal and unique journey. Every step, no matter how small, is progress, so be gentle with yourself and others. Healing is so possible, and each day is a new opportunity to build a life filled with love, self-acceptance, and hope. You are so much more than what you see in the mirror. And from my experience, when deeply in the throes of an eating disorder, what you see in the mirror is being seen with broken eyes. So just keep moving forward. There is beauty and strength in every moment of your journey. Let's move on to myth number 4. Eating disorders are just a phase or something people will grow out of. Eating disorders are serious and in some cases can be life-threatening. With anorexia, very sadly, having one of the highest mortality rates among mental health conditions. However, it is important to note that recovery is absolutely possible. It just takes time, support, and commitment. It is not something that happens overnight, but with the right care, therapy, and effort, progress is entirely within reach. I remember my poor dad's initial response when he first learned about my struggles. He thought that he could just give me a burger and it would make everything better. If only it had been that simple. At the time, he didn't realize the complexity of what was happening. It's been a very long and difficult journey, not just for me, but for my family and friends as well, and one I will feel forever deeply sorry they had to endure with me. Eating disorders don't just impact the person going through them, they affect everyone around them. The good news is that with the right support, we can break through these challenges. It's important to remember that seeking help is a sign of strength, and every step forward, no matter how small, is progress towards a healthier and happier life. Recovery is so worth fighting for. On the other side, you emerge stronger, braver, and more in tune with yourself. You unveil and reclaim that someone truly special that you have always been, for yourself and for those who care about you. Watching and feeling your sparkle come back is magical for you, but also for your loved ones. They get their happy back too. They get their daughter, son, friend, mum, dad, brother, sister, whoever it is back. And when that time comes, it's such a celebration. So always remember my motto, just keep going. Like the L'Oreal ad says, you are so worth it. Myth number 5. Eating disorders are caused by poor parenting or family issues. This is a ridiculous statement. While family dynamics can, of course, influence emotional struggles, they are not the sole cause of eating disorders or any other disorder or problem. Eating disorders are complex conditions shaped by a mix of genetics, psychological, and environmental factors, including traumas, social pressures, and a whole plethora of factors. There is no blame game here. Blaming won't help anyone heal from whatever it is they're going through. What does help is acknowledging that you are powerless over this disease, whether suffering from it or watching someone suffer with it. Seeking professional, emotional, and physical support and doing the hard work to recover is key. But a positive focus is also key to successful recovery. You are stronger, braver, and better than this disease. And if I can get through it, you can most certainly do it. Take back your power and get empowered to take your life back. Myth number 6. You have to be diagnosed by a professional to have an eating disorder. Okay. While getting a professional diagnosis is super duper important, you don't need one, in my opinion, to know something is wrong. It's a common fear in sufferers that they are not sick enough or thin enough or bad enough to have an actual eating disorder. This is so wrong. If you're struggling with disordered eating or the signs of an eating disorder or worried about a loved one, please, please, please seek help. Early intervention can make a huge difference. Don't wait for a formal diagnosis to ask for support. In my case, this was very true. At age 19, I was in a terrible state. I was living with my mum for the summer out of university, unaware of what was happening to me. I was just very adamant that I was fine. AKA, I was in total dangerous denial. I was deeply rooted into my anorexia. I had struggled through my first year at university, and I was just desperately in denial. My mum was terrified, and she'd watched me all summer long, and she begged me to go and see the local GP. I agreed so long as I could just go alone because I just wanted to get my mum off my back, and I had no intention of telling that doctor the truth. So I shamedly lied to the doctor and told her I was just a little bit tired. She took a look at the emaciated girl in front of her, and she just asked me if I'd always been thin, to which I said, yes, of course I've always been thin. She then gave me a leaflet on how to lose weight that she said might be helpful, and she sent me on my way. Then there was another time that my mum took me to see a counsellor of sorts, I guess, in Edinburgh. That lady gave me a long dressing down for about an hour about how I was going to die, and she shamed me for what I was doing to my family and friends. And this only had the effect of putting me off seeking help for a very long time thereafter. These instances were all pre-2002, and thankfully things have changed so much since then, in those 23 years now. But this just goes to show that you might not always get the help you need right away. For any parents out there, please reach out and find support if you need it, or if you suspect that your child is struggling. I wish that my mum had had the support too that she needed when she felt so desperately alone. This is why I'm speaking out now, and I love how things like #It'sOkayToBeOkay are making such a big difference today. It really is an amazing time for the youth of today to be comfortable to be having these conversations, and I just hope it gets better and better. Myth number 7. People with eating disorders are just seeking attention. This is so far removed from the truth in my experience. People with eating disorders are not seeking attention at all. In fact, my experience is quite the opposite. Personally, I felt totally ashamed. I was isolated and I felt like I wanted to disappear. The idea of the world we live in, like, for me, the onset was so long ago, and the idea of this world today of selfies and social media is unimaginable for me at that time. I became very reclusive. I was terrified to be seen or do anything. Many who do suffer, they try to hide their struggles, fearing judgment and misunderstanding. I didn't even really understand what was happening to me at the time. I was so consumed by daily rituals. I had no mental space for anything else. So I don't agree that this is about attention seeking. It's a deep, frightening internal struggle that is faced usually largely alone. While a sufferer may deep down be crying for help by, so to speak, wearing their disease, in my experience, it was never a conscious mindset. So please, 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 always, always be kind. Myth number 8, which is the final myth to debunk, is recovery from an eating disorder is quick and easy. Recovery is neither quick nor easy, if only it was. It is a process that takes time, effort, and support with no set recovery path. Everyone's journey is unique. There will be ups and downs, and that's okay. The key is to keep moving forward, even when it's tough. My journey has been long and filled with setbacks, but now I'm in a place where I won't ever say I'm free. I'm too aware of this disease to ever say that. I admit I don't walk into a restaurant and mindlessly order whatever I want off that menu and eat until I feel stuffed and full and uncomfortable. But I no longer pretend that I do that. And I actually do go to restaurants without fear or agonizing over the menu beforehand for days or weeks. And that's the huge difference. I do eat. I do go to restaurants. In fact, it's one of my favorite things to do now. My classics here in Dubai are LPM and Avli and DIFC, and I'm crushing hard on the new J1 beach spots. Gigi had me at hello. I have a full life now. I now allow myself alcohol, which I never did before, and I drink socially. I'm a Cosmo girl, but I never say no to a spicy marg either. And I don't worry about what others think about what I am or I'm not eating or drinking anymore, which is huge for me. I am managing the disorder now, not letting it manage me. After 20 years of it controlling my life, having control of it for the past 7 years is something I am forever grateful for. I never ever rest on my laurels. My gift, I suppose, to myself is that my sobriety, so to speak, has been hugely tested over the past 3 years. Having faced a horrendously difficult time in my life. If ever that old voice and those old behaviors were going to come back to save me, it was going to be then. But my goodness, I am grateful and prouder than ever that I did not succumb. I've used my support system, I have worked harder than ever, and I didn't go back. My life is on an upward and forward trajectory, and it feels pretty good. It has taken time, but it's worth it. Hell, I'm worth it. And so are you. Look at that. From such a terrible experience, from working so hard to overcome it. And now I get to use that experience to give back and help others. How great is that? To me, it's everything. This is a beautiful, fabulous life, and I'm now here to live it, love it, and share it. So, in the words of Taylor, shake it off. It felt cathartic and a bit ranty. I hope it didn't come across too harsh. These things do get to me, but I hope by debunking them, I've highlighted the positives that can come from shifting the narrative. As I've said before, please let's start cutting each other some slack and offering compassion in all walks of life. Actually, another thing I've struggled with, I know my sister struggled with this one too, was when people commented or stared at me in public when I was visibly underweight and seriously unwell. Why, oh why, is that acceptable to stare at or judge someone suffering from an eating disorder when you wouldn't do the same to someone struggling with another illness? An eating disorder is a disorder like any other, not something someone should be shamed or judged for. Quite simply, if you haven't experienced it, you can't know. So just be kind. It's easy. Just be kind. That's definitely enough from me for today. I hope this hasn't been too triggering, and if you need help, please reach out for it, as it's so important. I'd love to hear what has been helpful and what you'd like to hear of from me on this topic, if anything. I'm particularly passionate about early onset, and if I can use my story to help someone, whether it's a parent, aunt, uncle, sister, brother, friend, or anyone with a loved one suffering or someone struggling themselves, I'd be honored. Please do subscribe, rate, review, and share. Also, I haven't really focused much or at all on my own fashion, beauty, likes, and loves in my solo episodes. But if that's something you would like from me, do let me know. So until next week, get up, get dressed, grab your lip gloss, and let's get fabulous together.